All right. Thank you, Ed Hennings, for joining me. I do appreciate this, taking time out of your schedule. Could you please just share your background with us?
Um, I'm Ed Hennings. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm based here in the Midwest, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, to be exact. And in the last 8 years, I've started a barbershop and beauty salon. I've started a trucking business. I wrote 2 books, bought a home, and my last endeavor, which is I started the first African American owned work boot company right here in America. So that's
That,
my thing, what I've accomplished. But before that, I spent 20 years in prison. From the age of 24 to 44, I was in prison. So now I'm 52. Walked out of prison at the age of 44 with nothing. Broke man. And here I sit 52 running now 2 businesses, own a home. I drive a Maserati, and I've just been trying to get it done and inspire people like yourselves to, uh, think a little bit bigger and reach a little higher.
just in that brief synopsis of, who you are, there's so much. It's such richness there. But let's start from, at least somewhere. Let's start it with you, the journey that took you to being in prison for how many years?
20 years.
20 years.
Yes.
Tell us where that started. How did that came about?
Um, just like your normal, let me say the norm in my community, the urban community, in the ghettos of America, should I say, not the worst of the ghetto, but not the best of the ghetto as well, is where I grew up. But at the end of the day, it got to a point in my life where I got impatient. I didn't believe that the right way was promising. So being that everything around me looked like it looked good. It looked like something that I should have been involved in a long time ago. And I made a decision to throw away school, throw away my future, and take a shot at the streets to make a fast buck. And when I did that, the worst thing that ever happened to me was that I was a success at it. I was good at it. And over time, I got worse and worse, which maybe if I wasn't good at it, I might have turned back around and went the other way. But I was an instant success. And at that point, I was hooked. And it was so hard to get out of this life.
So quick money. It was quick, it was easy in some sense. I mean, being easy, you said it was easy for you. And you just enjoy the lifestyle at the time.
Yeah. One thing I was very naive in the sense of I thought I could get into it, make some money, buy a car, and then get out. And so many of young people that I talk to today, they make decisions based upon, well, I'm gonna do this for now, and then I'm gonna get out,
Right.
and then I'm gonna go back to doing the right thing. And it's numerous things, but I explain it like this: when you see a rocket going up into outer space, the rocket don't take a break. He keeps that momentum going to break through gravity to get into space. Because if you deviate from your goals and you break that momentum, you won't have enough momentum to break through gravity.
Yes.
Because everything is trying to pull us down and keep us from where we're trying to get to.
Right.
Gave me some items. It gave me freedom. I didn't have to ask my mom for money. I didn't have to ask dad for money. I had my own money. And anybody on walking the face of this earth, having your own is the greatest feeling in the world.
So you did cut out a bit, but I heard the understand the analogy, and it was a very interesting analogy to use. To understand why, what can pull us. pull us down. So you were in high school and you said you dropped out of school. At what grade level did you drop out of school?
Well, actually, I graduated from high school. Is when I
Okay.
went off to, I went to a tech school. I was in tech school, and that's when I quit. I
Hmm.
was actually 3 months before I graduated from that tech school when
Yes.
I left, and I never got back on track. And that's why I use those analogies that I use, because I was on track and I was moving forward, but I just couldn't up. I couldn't stay focused and stay disciplined enough to see it all the way through.
And what were you studying at tech school?
I was studying heat and ventilation and air conditioning.
Which at this time it's a very thriving field, but you didn't have the patience.
I was 18 years old, didn't know the opportunity that I had. And, I call it that youthful ignorance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me, share the demographics in your community. What is it
Um,
like? Does it fall in the category of working class, poor, middle class? What type of community was it?
yeah. Back when I was growing up, I'm 52. So in the late 70s, early 80s, mid 80s, it was like the working poor. People that worked hard every day, but we really didn't get far, but they worked hard every day. And that was an example that they set for us. But there
Mhm.
was no grand living and all of the things that you see today with the designer things. The designer back then was a pair of Levi's.
Which still works today.
That's right. It worked for me, that's for sure.
Right. I know, but things have gone really, there's so many innovations and creative ways of entrepreneurship out there, which you have tapped into today, but we're not getting there yet. I want to kind of look at the trajectory. And so, how would you describe your support system during that time?
I was raised by my grandparents. So my grandparents was very influential in my life. In my senior year of high school, my granddad passed away. And he was like the main guide. He guided everybody, not just me, not just my family, but he guided even my friends.
Hmm.
He had guidance for everybody. And when he left, just like any other young kid, I was 18 and felt like, oh, I got to be the man now. Daddy's gone. I got to man up and take care of everything.
Yeah.
Instead of understanding that, I got to continue to on this right path and do what I need to do. But that also weighed heavily on me. So I had a pretty good um, system, a compass to keep me morally straight until that point.
So you'd say that that point, the death of your grandfather, kind of derail you because you were not able to deal with those type of emotions.
Yes, I was always faced with decisions. People say just go to school and get good grades. But in my community, from home to school, a guy might pull up on me in a new Cadillac and say, hey man, get in. And I might say no. But the next time he might pull up in a new Cadillac with a bunch of pretty girls in it. And at 15, 16, it looks so fun and enticing that I have to say no to this consistently every day.
Yes.
And these type of propositions. And with my granddad there, he kept me focused. But without him, now I'm saying, I might go ahead and take that ride.
Yes, because it's enticing. Were you traveling with like a group of friends, or were you flying solo at this point, just trying to, as you said, making decision, navigate all the darts coming at you?
Yeah, I had friends, but I was basically a one man show, man. I really didn't have a gang or a posse or anything like that. It was just Ed, and I kind of held my own with the guys in the hood. They kind of
Mhm.
showed me respect. I wasn't 6'6", 300 pounds, and no physically imposing guy. But I was able to always show respect and get respect in return.
Were there any influence or any impact on you as it relates to like drug use or bullying or, just we know that isolation in poor communities is, systemic, but
Yeah.
just by your experience in school and tech school and the community, were you experiencing any other factors other than just a struggle within a poor community?
Yeah, no, I've seen, when I was in elementary school, fifth and sixth grade, you always had your tough guys and guys that wanted to be the bad guy on the playground. So I had
Mhm.
my run-ins with that. But as a teenager and a young adult, I really didn't experience a lot of that because by that age, guys was carrying weapons and stuff like that. So it really didn't be as much as a factor in the
Yeah.
lifestyle that I had chose because how can you bully somebody with a gun?
Wow.
And that kind of leveled the playing field, should I say, because everybody had them, everybody began to carry them because that was a tough transition for me in my community because when I was growing up, everybody fought and did things like that. But by the time I was 18, 19, 20,
Mhm.
those days were gone.
In terms of when you said those days are gone, in terms of what? Wanting a gun or having a gun?
The days of everybody fighting, that was gone. It had turned into everybody's carrying guns. So the fighting days were over. They settled disputes with a gun.
Wow. And you just fell in line in some sense at that
Yeah,
critical moment.
exactly.
Okay. So between say 18 and before you were, you know, arrested for whatever crimes it were, did, if you're comfortable, only if you're comfortable, were there near misses where you could have been arrested, but you escape, or were you in and out of the system and then it just finally caught up on you?
Yeah, I was one of those guys that I kept escaping the system. It was very close calls. I even got caught with a gun before, and I went to a facility for 13 days. I was in there for only 13 days, and it
Hmm?
just went by like that. And I got out every day to go home and go, hang out and go back and go to sleep and go back. And it just didn't do anything for me in the sense of making change because
Mhm.
I was in so deep that I had taken on the whole persona. I had to walk. I had the mean look on my face now. I'm paranoid. Who's going to try to rob me? Who's going to
Mhm.
call the police on me? All those type of things. So I had taken on that whole demeanor, and it was just like um, something inside of me that was kept saying, you gotta get out of this life. But I just wasn't strong enough to do it.
So, do you mind sharing some of the things that you were doing? At this point, you had a gun, or you were
Yes,
walking with
yes,
one, and
yes,
even if they took it from you, you probably have access to getting another one.
yes, yes.
What were some of the little crimes that you were,
Okay.
yielding up
Basically,
on the neighborhood?
yeah, basically I was selling drugs.
Hmm.
Basically that was my main thing, selling drugs, trying to make a fast buck. But with that came other things. With that came, in the community where the haves and the have-nots reign supreme, you having a few things, you having some material items, that brings out the worst in the people around you because they
Hmm.
want what you got.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that causes you to start saying, you know what? Instead of being smart and just getting out of the lifestyle period, you macho. You like, okay, well, I'm gonna start carrying the gun. Because if somebody try to take what I got, I'm gonna protect myself. And that's how the mentality continues to breed other things. And now you walk into the club, that crew of guys is sitting over there. And if you see them looking at you too hard, you spin around and say, man, what you looking at? And that's the type of lifestyle that you start to take on and what's going on because in your mind, they looking at you either for two things, either to intimidate you or they trying to look at you and figure out how they gonna get what you got.
Right. Okay.
And
Church.
that's how my life started to look after so long. Now, from that kid that walked out of school,
Right.
I'm nowhere near him anymore.
And this is after so many, how many years was this by the before you get that 13 days in juvie or some
That
re
was a couple of years. That was probably, I'm going to say I walked out of school in 90, 91. By 92, 93, I was pretty much
so
a
this,
whole different person than I
so this is
wanted to
like
be.
age 21, 20,
Yeah,
21
yeah,
thereabout.
yeah,
But aside from grandma, what did I know some justification would be I'm poor and I need help, and this is the easy way, as you mentioned. Did
yeah.
you go to church and try to pray this away for some miracle?
No, ma'am. I was the
Mhm.
guy that just gonna take it into my own hands. I'm gonna do because it's been around me my whole life, and
Mhm.
I've been fighting the urge, and I really wanted to make a few dollars even younger, but my granddad was there to say, nope, stay on the right, or I'm not gonna do this because daddy gonna get on my tail. So I better not do it. I better not do this. I can even recall a time when we was gonna go steal somebody's bike. And I was real young, like 12 years old.
Mhm.
And we didn't steal a bike, but I got in trouble for hanging out even with the guys that told me to let's go steal a bike. So it was instilled in me, you better stay out of that stuff until my granddad passed. And I was like, okay, well, now I'm gonna look over here on the other side.
Mhm. Did you feel loved despite not having your biological parents raising you? Did you feel loved well, clearly grandpa cares
Mhm.
so much about you, but
Mhm.
grandma, did you feel though that that was enough for you in terms of feeling loved and protected?
Yeah, because even my mom and my dad, they were still in my life.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but my granddad, he just kind of ruled the roost. But my mom, she was there. She got on my tail a lot. And I can say love wasn't the issue for me. For me, it was strictly a financial
Okay.
decision. I
Yes.
wanted some money and I got impatient and I wanted it now.
Okay.
I felt like I made it through high school. I've been doing all the right things. And I'm explaining something that I didn't understand that I understand now. When I
Mm-hmm.
got to school, I got good grades. I still maintained A's and B's.
Mm-hmm.
But it was guys at my school that was getting C's and D's, was barely making it to a C. But they was driving to school every day. Their parents were sending them money all the time. And here I am, busting my tail with these A's and B's, but my family didn't have that type of money to provide me with those same things that my other fellow students had access to. And that bothered me.
Mm-hmm.
That made me feel out of place. Like, hey, I'm riding a bicycle to school every day. I,
Mm-hmm.
I'm I'm tired of this.
Mm-hmm.
This gonna stop right now.
So, in reflection, okay, and these young boys and girls that are out there that at this point, you know,
Mhm.
even though our society have changed so much, where things are a little more accessible, people still have that same mindset. I want what you have because it's unfair that I'm killing myself here. What would
Right.
you say to them? Is it, to shift that mindset at this point? Because clearly you have, but it took so many years and so many years out of your life for you to reach
Yes.
this
Yeah.
mindset shift. How
Yes.
about trying to inspire somebody right now, age 18, who is looking at, somebody pulling up in their BMW and their
Yeah.
latest expensive Jordan and they can't afford it. What
Yeah.
should what's the miracle word here for them?
Um, the word that comes to mind when you ask that question is what I call deferred gratification.
Okay. Wow.
It never means that you're not gonna get the things you want in life.
Hmm.
You just have to go through a different process of getting them.
Hmm.
Now, let me paint this picture for you. I'm 52 years old. It's a lot of guys and lot of young ladies. When I was 18, a lot of my family members When I was 17, a lot of people in my neighborhood, when I was 16 and 15, they had everything. They had it all. But as 35, 40-year-old men and women, they have nothing.
And
I say that because you can peak early.
okay.
You can peak at 17 when mama and daddy is providing for you. Your childhood can turn out to be better than your manhood. Why? Because you're not responsible for what you get or don't get at 15 and 16. Somebody is responsible for making sure you eat well, sleep well, and wear the right proper clothing. But what's going to happen when that becomes your responsibility? When you have to provide for yourself. So that's what you should be preparing yourself for, is that time when you are able to provide for yourself. Because if you're not, you're going to want to stay in the child's place because your childhood looks better than adulthood. You're going to run from adulthood. And you're going to do everything you can to stay a child.
Excellent.
I don't want to be an adult because it's too much responsibility. I'm not prepared for it. I'm not ready for it. So I'd rather stay a child and let somebody else take care of me.
So, and so that delayed gratification that you mentioned, which is a very good concept to look at, that need to maintain that lifestyle. Okay, when I was much younger, or I used to have all of this. Now I'm an adult, I don't have it. They don't know how to prioritize in order to survive and actually limit themselves in terms of the material consumption. Yes?
Yes. So now I come home at 44, and in 8 years, I was able to accomplish a lot in my life. And it's only because I have a skill set that where I can go out into the world and do what I need to do. Whereas a lot of people around me, they don't have that same skill set or that same mindset to go out and do it. And that's because they were coddled. They were given everything, and that's not preparing you. So I want you to understand the process that you have to go through to get to where you want to get is going to be able to sustain you for the rest of your life. Where those people that's right now that got all the great things and people is giving it to them, that's going to go away fast. I'm telling you, by the next 5 years, that'll be gone.
Because they don't have the tools to sustain it.
That's right. And think about it like this. The proverb says, it's an African proverb. It says, if you carry a boy, he becomes a man with no legs. So if you're not able to walk, somebody will have to carry you for the rest of your life.
Yes.
And although you looking at people and saying, it looks fun being carried, it's impossible for somebody to carry you for the rest of your life. So the best thing you can do is grow some legs.
Grow some legs. All right. So let's look at, okay, you spend that time, 13 weeks, a slap on the wrist, you get
13 days.
13 days. And then, but you still get to go and socialize and go back to sleep, as you said. And you continue that same path with a gun on your hip, trying to sell drugs. I just want to add some, we may not get the statistics, but just give us some idea. What the demographics look like buying drugs at that time.
At that time, everybody, a majority, because it's like once when they know you don't do it, you don't know who they are. You can walk down the street and nobody. It might be somebody walking right by you.
Yeah.
You don't know he used drugs, but as soon as he hear that you have some, you're gonna find out. Word spreads fastly in the hood.
Is it in terms of race or ethnicity or social class, poor or middle class? Yeah. As you said everybody. So all of that,
Yeah, poor.
Mostly poor people.
Yeah, mostly poor. At this time, it was mostly
Mhm.
poor people. I very rarely had to deal with anybody outside of my small space in my community.
Were
Very rare.
you the pusher or the supplier? I don't know
Um,
if that's the right term.
yeah, like I would
Were
say
you
the pusher.
supplying someone to sell it for you,
No,
or
I
you
was
were
the
actually
pusher.
selling it?
I was the pusher. I was actually selling it.
Okay.
Yeah,
And so as you said, you walk the walk, and you have all the symbolic things about you to be
yeah,
a drug dealer in the community. But you
yeah,
mentioned that you felt paranoid
yeah,
because, there's
yeah.
who could you trust, right?
Yeah, who can you trust? Right.
Good money?
Yeah, I mean, for a 20-year-old kid, 21-year-old young man,
Hmm.
yeah, I was able to go to all the parties. I was able to buy the clothes and the jewelry that I wanted. I was able to drive the car I wanted. I
Okay.
had my own apartment. So at that age, it
Hmm.
was what else it's to life. You ain't thinking about 40 and
Okay.
50. You just
Hmm.
thinking about getting to the party next weekend.
Did you get to, and I'm asking this to see, if the entire experience kind of crowd out everything else. Did you travel on vacation else, anywhere outside of the country or just anywhere or you were sucked into the lifestyle that nothing else matters?
Yeah, nothing else mattered to me at that point. It was just being in my own little corner of the world where I
Hmm.
was the man, and it was no need to, I went and visit family members in other cities, but other than that, I didn't even have a desire to go out of the country and do all the things that you see people doing now. I want to
Right.
go here and go there. It wasn't even on the table in 1993.
You were that busy with just, that survival,
Yeah, yeah,
making
yeah,
money.
yeah. I
All
didn't
right.
even, it didn't even cross my mind. You know what? We gonna barbecue today, and I'm gonna go buy the meat for the grill.
And that's
That's
it.
about it. Yeah.
So now if you reach a point where, okay, after so many years of doing, selling drugs, you're now caught. You want to share only if you're comfortable. You want to share
Oh
what
yeah, I'm
happened
very
at that
comfortable.
point. Where did it went down? Was it still in Milwaukee or somewhere
Yeah,
else?
yeah. This just June 11th, 1996. So I
Okay.
walked out of school 91, 96. I'm in prison. I'm in jail, but it took 5 years. And I'm gonna
Wow.
say this. I'm gonna say this is that um people ask this question a lot. So it's very easy for me. When I started selling drugs, a lot of people in my community, a lot of people in my family, they looked up to me because
Mhm.
now I'm having things that they always wanted.
Yeah.
I'm the flashy guy now. So I call it the go-to guy. In the neighborhood, everybody either know who's the go-to guy is or they are the go-to guy. And amongst my family and friends, I became the go-to guy. If they needed some extra money, they called me.
Mhm.
If they needed a ride somewhere, they called me. They need to borrow a car, they called me. So I
Mhm.
became that go-to guy. And the thing about being the go-to guy, if somebody have some drama or some beef with another guy, they'll call the go-to guy.
Okay.
And, and at this point, I was the go-to guy. And a relative of mine had some problems with some guys in the neighborhood. And he came and got me. And I've done this a million times in the neighborhood. These altercations, arguments, they happen all the time in the neighborhood. This
Mhm.
is nothing new. But this particular day, he had some problems with some guys, and he came and got me to intervene. And
Mhm.
I got in the middle of it, tried to stop it. But they wasn't too happy about me trying to stop it. And this 1996, one of the guys went after my uncle, and I pulled out a gun and I shot 2 times. And in
And
a nutshell, the guy ended up dying, and I was sitting in the county jail being interrogated. And I woke up to some papers slid under my door, and I was charged with first-degree intentional homicide, and I was facing a mandatory life sentence.
so he died on the spot. or at the hospital?
Um, he ran around the corner and he
Mhm.
died later on the spot.
It was not drug related.
No, it was not drug related at all.
And
At
they
least not directly. Excuse me?
and they didn't find any drugs on you.
No, no, no. It
Okay.
wasn't about drugs at all.
Okay. So this was full blown, they see it as murder and you saw it as what?
Uh, I was defending my relative,
Self-defense.
and yeah. That's what I pleaded in court.
Hmm.
That's how I ended up in prison.
5 years in county jail because it took that long for the case to come to trial, or because they wanted you to plead it guilty? Which is it?
No, I was in the county jail not even a year going to trial. It
Okay.
lasted about 6 months, and
Okay.
then I went to trial. I was facing first-degree intentional homicide, and I got found guilty of a lesser offense,
Which is
reckless homicide, which in other cities they might call it manslaughter.
okay. So you have a lot of time to think, even before they move you to, maximum prison then. And
Yes.
fear, scared, what was the emotions during that time for you?
Great question. That's a great question because when I was waiting for the verdict,
Hmm.
I went through a jury trial. So I'm in a holding cell waiting for a jury to come back with a verdict. And I
Hmm.
know you guys watch TV and you see these cop shows and these shows where, oh, the jury is deliberating, then they come back all on the movies. And let me tell you something. That stuff don't even come close to what it really feels like to have your life hanging in the balance, to
Hmm.
have some jury come back and decide if you're going to be a free man ever again.
Hmm.
And in that moment, while I was waiting for that decision, I
Hmm.
was making promises to myself. I was praying to the higher power. And I was saying that, how sorry I was, and that if I got a second chance, I wouldn't need a third.
Hmm.
How if I got another chance at freedom, how I would give it everything in my soul, that I
Hmm.
would dedicate my life to making myself a better person, and also trying to inspire other people into being better people. And when
Hmm.
that jury came back with their lesser offense, I could hear the higher power saying, here go your chance.
Hmm.
Here go your opportunity. Let's see what you do with it. And from that day forward,
Hmm.
I've been giving it everything in my soul. I mean, I've dedicated my life to this. So
Hmm.
when I went to prison, I was 24 years old, never been to prison, 147 pounds, soaking wet. It was guys in there that was 225 pounds, been banging, lifting, pumping that iron, and they
Hmm.
didn't play no games. But here came this little 147-pound young man with no fear, not scared, dedicating my life to something with some
Hmm.
purpose. And I said, man, I'm changing my life, and your big tail need to do the same.
Okay.
Because when I walked in there, I seen the power, I seen the strength, but I also seen the brokenness on the inside.
Hmm.
I seen that same brokenness that I had when I gave up. So I walked through that door with that type of energy. I wasn't scared. I wasn't afraid. And until this day, I talk to people that's out there in them streets. I talk to
Hmm.
people that's in the penitentiary still to this day. I ain't scared of you.
Okay. Okay. Were there anyone implicated with you? Or, I mean, and you had a lot of support
Yeah,
witnesses to come and defend you, or how?
yeah.
It's just you.
It was me and my relative, and it was maybe 15 of them guys. And it all came out that I was really initially trying to defuse this argument, but
Hmm.
it just got a little bit much for me, and I lost my cool, and that's
Hmm.
how I see it. And you know, I was by myself. I didn't take anybody down with me or
Hmm.
anything like that. It was me and only me. And I was grateful for that. Is that I didn't harm anybody else and nobody else went to prison. So I
Hmm.
had to deal with it. I had to own up and face my decisions and my choices and be accountable.
Mhm.
So I decided to say, you know what, I have to deal, I have to handle, I have to handle this.
So with the knowledge that you have, you were able to keep yourself even, straight in some way, because some people between the time, as you said, dropping out of tech school and that point before you go to prison, there could be so many other things
Yeah,
in terms of
yeah,
you in and out or getting stabbed or getting shot. And none
yeah,
of that happened except this one violent incident that took place, and
yeah.
then it took you into prison. Yes?
Yes, I had some, altercations here and there, but nothing that led me to prison or in the
Mhm.
hospital or death or anything like that.
Okay.
But but yeah, that's kind of how it went for me.
So now you're in prison. And where did they send? Did they? It's all everything is happening in the state of Wisconsin, or you were sent
Yes.
out of
I,
state?
I went out, I went out of state to Texas my first year. They sent me to Texas for a
Okay.
whole year. And then I came back and did the other 19 years in Wisconsin.
And you said you went in with a mindset, no fear, not because you tell yourself that, but you didn't feel that fear because you were that confident in yourself, despite all the other things that were happening. So the journey then involved what? Did you now decide, it's gonna be God and all God, anything religious?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you try to get an education? Did you create a men's
Yeah.
group and do what were
Yeah.
some things you did while you were in there?
Okay, let me say this. It wasn't so much of my confidence. It wasn't so much of the fear or not being fearful. It was the contract that I signed when I said, I
Okay.
promise you I'll give it everything I got. And that's all I knew. Like, I'm
Mhm.
going to give it all I got. I might not make it out of here alive, but I'm giving it all I got.
Yes.
So I wasn't without fear. I wasn't without nervousness. It
Yeah.
was, I signed a contract. I said, if I get a second chance, this is how I'm going to live.
Okay.
And I got that second chance. So I walked in there like, hey, this all I got left. I'm giving it all I got.
Because it could have
And that,
been life. It could have been life,
yeah, it
or
could have been life.
it could have been
So
okay.
somebody would look at it and say, you got 40 years in prison. I didn't see it like that. I said, I got another
Mhm.
chance.
Yeah.
The chance didn't come right away. It didn't come without, I didn't have to put in some work, but I had that chance. I had 40 years. I seen parole in 10 years.
Wow.
So I marked that calendar off. I said, 10 years from now, I'm going to see my first parole hearing and I'm going to be ready. I'm
And
going to be ready for that.
and so you went to the first parole year in
10
10,
years.
10 years. And what is it there? What is it that you said and what were they looking for?
Man, I went with my barber license. I got my barber license.
Wow.
I got an auto detailing certification. I took parenting class because I had children.
Hmm.
I basically took everything that I could. I took culinary classes. I signed up for everything. They had to tell me I couldn't take no more stuff. I'll tell you, I was a man on a mission.
Yeah.
It's because, like I said, it's because of that contract I signed,
Right.
that purpose. And I was taking everything and doing everything. And it wasn't always met with love in there. Cats
Mm.
was saying, man, you ain't finna do nothing when you get out. That
Oh,
stuff you
wow.
doing up in here, that ain't gonna work. That's it. And I was like, all right, whatever you say. All I know is I'm giving this all I got, and I'm gonna keep doing that till I leave this earth.
So that's very interesting that here you are, okay, so you leave a community where you see all these, you're going against the grain, things
Mm-hmm.
are happening, you're now
Mm-hmm.
in prison, and it doesn't seem as if people signed the contract that you signed, where you said,
No.
whatever I can to do. If anything, they're discouraging you.
Yes. They outnumbered. It's the darkness gonna kill the light. Because
Yes.
it's so much. It's so many people that have given up. Nobody's in there dreaming like, oh yeah, they dreaming about, oh, when I get out, I'm gonna get me a nice outfit. That's the biggest dream. Like, oh
Wow.
yeah, when I get out, my girl gonna bring me this outfit. My mama gonna bring me this, cuz or bro gonna give me some money.
Hmm.
I'm like, man, I don't care about none of that. I care about how I'm gonna change my life, and I care about how I'm gonna impact other people. That's all that I care about. Everything else don't matter to me. And that's not in abundance.
And okay. So the transformation for you is transforming your mindset because some
Yes.
of what they're saying in terms of the materialistic things,
Yes.
what got you into the lifestyle. They
Yes.
keep dreaming about it even when
Yes.
you're locked away. Isn't that an interesting thing?
Even when you're locked away. So this is what I have to tell you.
Hmm.
I went to prison physically June 11th, 1996. But I was already there. I
Wow.
was already in prison.
Yes.
People think, oh, I ain't never been to jail. You are in prison right now. You never been there physically, but you're there because your mindset is the same thing as
Yes.
somebody that's sitting in a cell. You think in the same way. You see
Wow.
the world the same way.
Yes.
Your body just hasn't caught up with
Hmm.
that mindset. And it
So
may never catch up.
yeah, you're locked in that mindset. You're locked in a prison. That is such a very good point. And so, for young people, the thing too, when you just mentioned that there are people there that have that mindset, one of the concerns and one of the reasons why I invited you is I don't know if you came across social workers or pastors or any kind of prison counselors, and it would be scary to think that they see you as having a scarcity mindset where they cannot inspire you to move on because this is one of the thing that concerns me where you will have social workers, psychologists, psychiatrists having to be the kind of support system to help you mentally to get through whatever the concerns are that you're struggling with. And if they don't believe in you, and if the person doesn't believe in themselves, imagine that. Imagine how locked in to this darkness as you mentioned. And thus why rehabilitation is so hard to achieve.
Very
Because
hard.
the people who provide the services do have the scarcity mindset just as the person who they're trying to provide the service to.
Yes. Yes.
Tell me about your contact with any prison staff, whether contract workers who come in, pastoral services, social services, and so on. How did they help you?
Um, it really wasn't, I didn't look outside of me. I'm gonna be honest with you. I went deep on the inside and did the inner work.
Good, good.
This is how I looked at it. I tell people when I speak, I just spoke yesterday at a school, and I told the staff at the school is that I come from the school of Harriet Tubman. I don't negotiate your greatness. I believe in you and I know you're great. And
Hmm.
I'm not going to negotiate that with you. It's not up for discussion. We're going to make you great or we're going to make nothing at all. I don't argue with them. I'm not going to play with you. I've been down that road. I know this. One day I had bought a brand new leather coat. It was a real nice leather coat. And I was walking across the street with this brand new leather coat on. Didn't even make it home with it.
Hmm.
And some guys jumped out from behind the building, put a pistol to my stomach, and said, give me that coat. Took my coat. But in that moment, I didn't care about that coat. I just didn't want them guys to start shooting. So what I'm saying to you is them guys could have put that gun on me
Hmm.
and said, keep your coat. But if you don't go be great, I'm going to pull this trigger. And they could have went and took that gun and made me great.
Yeah.
They didn't have to just take my coat. They could have put that gun to my head and said, I'm going to hold this gun to your head until you be great.
Wow.
And I would have went and been great because I didn't want them to blow my brains out. So that's the mindset I have to pull out of my own self, as if somebody had a gun to my head. And it was, Ed, you got to do this or he going to pull the trigger. But I had to do it without it actually happening.
Yes.
So that's the energy that I give to people when I talk to them like, this is not negotiating. I know you great. You the one that don't know you great.
Right.
But because you don't know, I can't take no chances. You're not going to like me right now, but you're going to thank me in the end. Because I didn't let you be anything other than great. And I'm not trying to be your friend. And because I come from the school of hard knocks, I'm not that guy. I'm not telling you not to be angry. I'm not telling you not to be mean. But what I'm telling you is to take that anger and that animosity and use it towards, let that be your fuel to where you're trying to get to. Because it's the same anger. Yeah. It's the same anger that Michael Jordan had when he went on the court and said, I'm winning this game.
Right.
He just channeled it in the right way.
Different way. Yeah. So the motivation, it's all internal motivation, as you said. And it is true. It is true. Because again, it's not so much what everybody, like your social workers can come in and inspire you. Yes, that is meaningful. You can go into the schools and inspire the middle schoolers, high schoolers to don't take the path that I did.
Yes.
But if they're not ready to hear this, if they don't have that built up mechanism to push forward, it's not going to work. And that's the sad part about all of this transformation, right?
That's 100% true.
And so, okay, so 10 years, you get in front of the parole board at this point. Did you put on some muscles? What was happening to you?
Yeah.
The entire Bible?
Yeah, I've been getting my push-up game on. I've been, my chest is sitting up real nice. I got some arms and things like that. Right. And, and it's like, man, you've been doing great, Ed. You got all these certifications now. Yeah. And they say, nope, you ain't going home right now. Wow. Come back and see us in 24 months. So you got to get on the phone and tell your parents and your loved ones, I ain't coming home, y'all. So it's like going to jail all over again. And then you go back in 24 months and they say, nah, come back in 24 more months. Then next you know it's 14 years. Then you go back and they say, we're going to come back in 18 months. Wow. Then you get to 18 months. And they say, we'll come back in 18 more months. Now you at about 16 and a half years. Wow. You're like, man, they ain't going to never let me out. Then you go back and they say, come back in 12 months. Like, I'm down to 12 months. Then you go back again. They say, come back in 8 months. You're like, whoo, I'm getting closer.
Well, it's really like that.
Yes, wow. It's really like that.
Wow.
And it hurts. It hurts every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it hurts. It hurts bad.
Do you find tears or you were so numb? Which is it? I hope you were able to cry.
Yeah. The first couple of times, I definitely was like, oh, well, they told me I wasn't going to go home the first time. But as it got longer, it started to hurt. It started to hurt. And I just said to myself, I said, ooh, you making me hold to this promise.
Yeah.
You really holding me to my promise because I promised I'd give it everything I got, no matter what. And I was still like, ooh, man. And then some told me, I read the stories, Mandela's story. Mandela did 28 years and he didn't do nothing. I did something. So if he could keep his mindset right and he didn't even do anything, come on, man.
Yeah.
Keep pushing. So I needed those stories. I read a lot of those stories about people that overcame the odds. I fed myself that, and I still do to this day. So you need that. Ed needed to come home and make something out of his life so that somebody else could read his story and say, if Ed can make it through that, I can make it through this.
Okay, so you get back to your cell every time. And you said it gets harder and harder, but it didn't stop you from continuing to seek out certificate programs from you to do that. Yeah. And you didn't allow anybody to get in your ears. Oh, I told you so, man.
Yeah. I had been through that. I had been through that at a young age. It's hard to get me with that stuff now. Like, man, I've been through that. I already got a pat on the back for negative behavior.
For
negative behavior.
What's a negative behavior?
Selling drugs.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
I got
right.
everybody screaming my name for doing the wrong thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you have a mentor, in terms of, or sponsor going up for parole, somebody there that's say something, or it was just you?
No, just me, man. But I will say this is that I still to this day have mentors that don't even know I exist. I read stories, I watch people, I watch successful people, and I get nuggets from each and every
Okay.
one of them. And I never met them a day in my life.
Self-motivation. Wow.
Yeah,
That's
I'm a student. I'm a student. I'm a
yeah.
student.
All right. Did the ideas for all these business venture started in on that bunk in prison, or is it when you get out, you said, okay, I'm gonna sit down and make a plan? When did it start? Because okay, you get your parole after 20 years.
Mhm.
Um, they didn't put you in isolation, right?
Right.
You didn't get in any fights.
I think I spent one night in isolation. One night.
Who did
One
you
night.
beat up? Jeez.
No, I'm gonna be honest with you. I was a barber, so I got my barber license in prison.
Mhm.
So I was the prison barber.
Wow.
And a guy came down and he gave me some cologne. And I don't know where he got the cologne from.
Oh,
I was just like, ooh, in there, it's like gold.
right.
If you had a hamburger in there, it'd be like gold, a McDonald's burger. So he had a little thing of cologne, a little tester.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, here, you can have it. And I was like,
Oh
okay,
no.
bet. So when my parents come and see me, I put on a little bit of the cologne. And they came down to the barbershop and they got the cologne and they said, where did you get this cologne from?
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't tell them where I got it from. And they put me in segregation for the night.
Okay. Did
Then
you
they came
confess?
back and got it. Excuse me?
Did you confess eventually?
No, 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 no.
Okay.
I just they just said it wasn't big enough for me to go to segregation for that
Okay.
little thing cologne. Maybe I
Mhm.
should have got a conduct report, like loss of rec, or I have to stay in my room for
Mhm.
for 2 days or something like that. But I think the officer that caught me up, he was so angry that I wouldn't tell. That he's like, "I'm putting you in segregation," but it wasn't that big of a. I'm not gonna say it wasn't that big of a deal, but according to the statutes and
Yeah.
the rules and regulations in prison, it wasn't big enough for me to go to seg. But
So I
he
have
was
two
kind of pissed
questions.
off with me.
He was upset. So I have two questions for you. One, the fact that you have, I don't want to use this term, but I'm going to use it just for reference. You have people with this low mindset that you're rooming with. Have just a basic mindset about life itself.
Mhm.
Or there are people they're just trying to keep company with you, meaning I'm going to do whatever I can to keep this guy in here with me. You're not going anywhere. In other words, people just get each other in trouble for no reason because they don't want to see you do well. They don't want to see you move on because they don't have the motivation to do what you're doing.
I think you got that to a certain degree. Somebody that maybe got a year, somebody that maybe got 2 years,
Mhm.
5 years tops. They may they may play those type of games with each other.
Oh.
But when you talk about the guys that's taking up residence for 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35 years,
Mhm.
you don't play with them guys.
Okay. Okay.
They got life in prison. They ain't going home anyway. So the people that got time like that pretty much get a lot of respect from guys that got a year.
Okay.
If I've been locked up 19 years and I come into the prison and some guy only got 6 months and they be like, man, what's up? They be like, oh, he been down for 19 years. They be like, oh my God.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Let me stay away from him. He might be
Respect.
crazy. He might not have it all.
But you didn't see that your mentality, as much as the pressure was on, would you clearly or distinctively say that maybe you experienced depression? that pull you down so deep, or you experience anxiety or any of those factors? Or it's just the normal wear and tear of prison where, whatever feeling it is, it stays with you, but not to the point where you were diagnosed with anything.
Yeah, I just had the normal wear and tear of just,
Mm-hmm.
like I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. I'm ready to go home, you know, and that type of feeling, but never nothing clinically, never anything like that. I think that's due to me. I went in at 24
Mm-hmm.
and I had some life experiences. I've paid bills. I've went to school. I've had jobs, all those type of things. So I kind of had something to reach back and draw from.
Yeah, okay.
Whereas a lot of guys that's in prison, they went in the system at 13 and 14, and they don't have those experiences to reach back to.
Right.
So it gets a little bit more harder when you don't
Yeah.
have those experiences because you'll hear people say, man, when I go home, I'm going to send you some money. I'm going to do this. And I say, hey, brother, when you go home, don't send nobody nothing. You're going to need every dime
And you
to
have,
make it out there in that world.
yeah.
Because I know I done paid bills out in that world where
Mhm.
another guy, he might ain't never paid bills yet. So he
Mhm.
think it's going to be a cakewalk.
Wow.
Like, bro, it's not going to be easy. You ain't going to have no money to send nobody when you get out of here. It's not money just flowing like that unless
Yeah.
you're doing the wrong thing.
So they're stuck in that mindset, that's stuck in that stage of their life, in a sense, that they cannot imagine how things have changed on the outside. And they're not changing much either in terms of shifting their mindset, it seems.
Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. It's like I said, it's that mindset of I've had it great at 15. Like you ain't 15 no more. Mama can't provide for a
Mm.
35-year-old, a 15-year-old don't need nothing but a bowl of cereal. You a 35-year-old man. You need a home. You need a car. And mama, if mama had that much money, she wouldn't even be where she at.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so let's get to the fun, beautiful, just awesome transformation here. You got out at 20 years, even though you were supposed to spend 40.
Yes.
And what a wonderful day that was. Your contract
Yeah.
now with God um,
Yeah.
is here. And he said, you better keep that promise. And so you got out. You do have you have that support system because you talk about family members coming to visit. So you did get those visits.
Yeah, I got some visits.
So in the beginning, you mentioned that you're a barber and start a few companies, and you're expanding your work boot company. I
Yes,
mean,
ma'am.
that's just amazing, just to accomplish those things. So tell me, did you start a barber shop and then transform to other things, or tell me how the business venture started?
Yeah, when I got a job at a barbershop in locally here in Milwaukee and
Hmm.
learned everything I could from the guys at the shop. They helped me transition out of there. Just being able to go to that barbershop was beautiful for me.
Yeah.
Um, I built some clientele. I learned about hair weave because I was gone 20 years. And when I came home, I didn't know anything about weave, but the ladies were coming in with really short hair and coming out looking like they were ready for a movie. And I was like, wow, what is that?
Right.
So I was just asking questions. I'm a student. So I
Yes.
was like, what are you doing to these ladies? What are you doing? They're
Yes.
like, we put weave in their hair. So I'm like, what is weave? They were showing me the weave. So I was making $7.25 an hour.
Hmm.
So I went to the owner of the barbershop. I had saved up $7,500. And I asked the owner of the barbershop, I said, the lady's been showing me about hair weave. I said, could I sell that? And he was like, go ahead. I don't sell it. So I was home. I got out in October. By December, I had spent $5,500 on hair weave. Started selling their hair weave. So I have my basket full of hair weave next to my barber chair, and I'll be cutting. Then the ladies would come in, and they'd be like, hey, the stylist would come from the back and say, hey, we need some bundles. We need some weed for my client. And I'll be
Wow.
like, get it. So I start selling it to the stylist. Then I start venturing out. And within 1 year, I got out in 16. By the end of 17, I had my own barbershop.
Wow. Amazing. You make that much money to save up.
And that was my plan while I was in when I got my barber license. My
Hmm.
dream was, it might take me about 5 years, I thought. I said, it's going to take me about 5 years to get out and get on my feet, and get me
Hmm.
a barbershop. But it took me 1 year. 1 year.
Very good. And so you
Yeah.
build up your clientele, you start having your own space
Yeah.
to start
Yeah.
coming in. Money starts kind of, flowing a bit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then
It's getting a little better.
what's the next dream there?
Yeah. Then one of my clients sat in my barber chair. He was
Hmm.
telling me about the trucking business, how he had bought a truck and stuff like that. And I always lived below my means. I tried to live below my means so I could have that extra money to
Hmm.
invest in stuff.
Hmm.
Because if I live up to my means, which I studied while I was in prison, like you got to live below your means. If you make $500 today, live off of 200.
Right.
That way you got 300 to invest. You got 300 to take a shot at something bigger. So
Right.
that's how I kind of lived.
Hmm.
And when he told me about the trucking business, I had money put to the side. I went and got me a truck,
Hmm.
got some more information on trucking, and then I started making deliveries. I was delivering furniture. I would deliver furniture from 6 in the morning to 6 in the evening. Then I would go into the barbershop from 6 in the evening to 11 at night, every day for 7 days a week for 2 years.
Wow.
7 days a week for at least 2 years, I was doing that and saving up and all that type of stuff. So I was on the grind.
Was the transition, it seemed as if the transition was that easy for you. I mean, in terms of transition from prison to into the community,
Yeah.
into the work environment, and then into the business ideas. Would you say it was easy or you were, scared at first? What was it?
For me, it, once again, my mindset is, all
Yeah.
right, I want to start this company. It's going to be hard. It's going to take work. Oh, well, that's okay. Well, only 1 in a million did it. Oh, well, that's fine. 1 in a million is fine. I can make
I
it
can
two.
do it.
I can make it two.
Right.
Nobody has ever done it. Well, it's
Right.
about time that somebody do it.
Yes.
That's my mindset. So when I looked at all of these things that I wanted that was coming my way, like I didn't never think about trucking. I never drove a truck in my life.
Hmm.
But when he said he got a truck and he's doing it, what would make me think I can't do it?
Right.
He's doing it.
Wow.
So even if he did it in 2 days, it might take me 2 months, but I'm gonna do it.
You're gonna try. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it.
I'm thinking at this point you also became an employer. You probably were hire people to, imagine that.
And believe me, hiring people is harder than doing it yourself.
Yes, because you want to make sure you don't hire anyone that does
Right.
not fit the same purpose and mission that you have, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And it's hard for people to embody that mindset. Even my own son, he
Hmm.
started driving the truck with me, but he didn't last long. He didn't last long.
Wow, hard for him.
Yeah, it was hard for him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, so the barber business, no, the
Mhm.
hair weaving business and the
Uh-huh.
business, then the
Yeah, that
truck,
was together.
yes.
Yeah.
And then what was the next venture?
Okay, it was barbering and selling the hair. Then it was trucking. Then I wrote 2 books because
Okay.
people around my community was like, how in the world in the last, let's just say 2.5 years,
Yes.
you up running 2 businesses, you done bought a home, you driving a Mercedes Benz. What, how in the world are you doing this?
Yes.
So those questions were coming hot and heavy. So I wrote a book and I called it The Answers.
The
And it
answers.
was the answers to those questions. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And is it published where? Like online or let me see. Wow.
The answers.
Is it self-published or through a particular publisher?
It's through a publisher. It's through Talk Publishing.
Wow. So it's
Yeah.
available online, like
Yeah, yeah.
Facebook
I'll give
or
you my
Amazon?
website. I'll give you my website when we get off, and
Okay.
it'll be on my website later on tomorrow. I'll be posting some more tomorrow.
And the answers to what? Becoming an entrepreneur, or answers to how to transition from the prison system? What's it?
It's really a guide to passing the test of your life.
Okay.
Any test that you may be faced with, I
Hmm.
use my experience in life to say, hey, this is universal law. You can take this, and whatever you're going through, you can apply some of these principles and you can overcome it.
Wow. Interesting. And so and that book is still being sold because you wrote that book. What year was this now? Oh,
2019.
and it's a self-help guide to just,
Yes.
making
In
it
life,
in
just
life.
life. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now what's the next book?
Then the next book was called The Comeback.
The
And
comeback.
I wanted to write that book because when I told you when I was in there, I've used a lot of inspiration from other people's stories.
Hmm.
I read so many people's stories that not even famous that overcame the odds. And I was like posting that on my wall. I was putting it everywhere so that I would see it all the time.
Yes.
And I said, you know what? Somebody needs them same stories that I used to get me through my tough time.
Wow.
So I found a bunch of people, like a girl I went to high school with. She had cancer and she beat cancer. A guy I met in prison. He went in at 15 years old, came home and made something out of himself. I seen a lady with domestic violence. She got out of that and took off. And I said, hey, I need you in my book. So I made everybody, also authors, first time authors themselves, and put them
Wow.
in that book. And they told their comeback stories because all of us got to come back in us.
What a wonderful idea.
Yeah.
That book would do so well in an educational institution.
Yes.
To talk about, yeah, and it's such a great title, The Comeback Story. And so you get people from, as you said, it doesn't matter where. You don't have to be a millionaire. It doesn't have to be Nelson Mandela who became
Nah.
president.
It don't even have to be
Just
prison.
right to share their stories. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is so inspiring. And I'm
Yeah.
sure you could write 10 other books with the experience
Yeah.
that
For
you
sure.
Okay, so I'm just going to summarize. Barber, selling hair products, trucking, author, and now the next one.
Yeah. I was running this was about 2 years ago. Was running about 5 trucks, and the drivers were like,
Trucking, yes.
they were driving me bonkers. I was like, and then, trucking changed. The rates went down, fuel went up,
Yes.
insurance rates went up. So, as an entrepreneur, I'm like, all right, let me see what other basket I can put some eggs in.
Hmm.
And the conversation came up about men's footwear. It's like, man, you need to look at footwear because there's a lot of women's stores. There's not that many men's stores.
Yeah.
So I thought about it and I said, you're right, but I want to stay in my lane.
Mm.
I'm a hardworking man, and that's
Hmm.
what I hang my hat on. And I
Yeah.
said, work boots. Let me look at work boots because I wear them every day myself on the truck.
Hmm.
So when I researched work boots, I didn't see one person of color with any work boots.
Good.
I
That
had
makes
some
sense.
talks with a couple companies. The ladies and the people of color at those companies said, hey, we wear work boots every day, but there's no work boots out here that we really like. They don't look like what we would wear. And I
Mhm.
said, bing, there I go. And I took off. I
Okay.
took off with it,
So
invested my money, and
you
I've been
make
in
the
it ever since.
connections. You make the connections yourself. You're doing all the talking. You didn't hire somebody to say, "Can you do the research for me?"
No, no, no. I roll up my sleeves. I'm better at that than I am paperwork. I'm horrible at paperwork,
Yeah.
but I can get in the mud. I can get dirty.
So you actually design it? Because as you said, the ladies were saying we don't see anything that really matches, especially the, you know, the
Yeah.
diversity aspect. So you design the footwear?
Yeah, me and the manufacturer, we kind of work together because when I first started, I didn't
Hmm.
understand and didn't have as much knowledge as I have today. So I got more input now than I
Hmm.
had when I first started because I
So,
understand the different aspects of a work boot. Like the average person, I promise you, you don't know the intricacies of a work boot. You know, you might say, I need a steel toe boot. There's also a composite toe. Like, what is composite toe? Well, there's also a Kevlar. You're like,
mhm,
what is that? You know, waterproofing, right? People think waterproofing is just a rubber boot,
right.
but you can waterproof a boot two or three or four different ways that you can waterproof a boot. But I didn't know all of these things at first. But
Hmm.
now that I've been in it, I can really break a work boot down and make it very comfortable and make it look really good.
And that's what I was going to ask you, because even though, even like for example, the steel toe boots,
Yeah,
people wear them and damage their toes because, you know, it's not comfortable at the very end, you know, at that end. And then
yeah,
for it to look good as well, you know, you're
yeah,
working 5 days a week, you have to be wearing that boot. And
yeah.
it is something that also wants, you know, an attractive boot, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a sample of it to show? What do your boots look
I
like?
do.
I know you
I
have
do.
your t-shirt, the shoe stamp on it, but
I got some for you. Well,
let
this is one of my hottest sellers right here.
oh my goodness, that is that is a very attractive boot.
Okay, okay. See,
Yes.
will you wear that?
Oh, I would wear that. It almost I like the bottom. It almost shaped like a sneakers in a way.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Very comfortable boot. Very comfortable
So are
insole.
you making for or is just for men?
No, it's for I got smaller sizes for the ladies as well.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. And this one is very popular, the all black.
Wow, those are beautiful shoes. So
All
boot,
black is always gonna
boot.
sell.
So it's just boot, not shoes now, or you're planning to venture into other areas?
Yeah, I tried some shoes early on as I was finding my way in the business,
Hmm.
but work boots kind of like is
The
is
thing.
is it's my niche. It's my niche.
What
Yeah.
it's what's the brand name? What's the brand name for you? Is just work boots or
Just Ed Hennings. Ed Hennings work boots.
yes. Well, keep your name on it. Cool.
Legacy. Legacy. Right. Legacy.
Yes,
Yeah. So
legacy.
this is another one of my boots.
Yes.
And this is more of a traditional boot. There's
Hmm.
many different brands that has a boot.
Yeah.
That's the mock toe is what they call it,
Yes.
but
Very
a
good.
lot more comfortable than some of the others that's out there, I would say.
So where the don't are you going overseas for manufacturing? Because
Yeah,
is it China or Mexico? Where
yeah.
did you go?
China.
China.
Yeah,
Okay.
China.
Do you physically have to go there or you just use technology
No.
nowadays?
Technology.
Amazing.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
is amazing. Do you have
yeah.
any plans to like have your own factory or you're just comfortable with where it's coming from now?
No, my plan is to grow it as big as it can. Like I tell you, I'm giving it all, giving it everything in me. So however that, wherever that takes me, that's what it looks like. My inventory is growing
Hmm.
so big that sooner or later I'm gonna need a warehouse.
So you is it where is it in stores or just online in on you know where you just market it yourself online from your website or are you
Yeah,
relying?
right now I'm just on my website, but
Hmm.
I'm looking to get into stores, and that's just a process.
Hmm.
You know, that's a process. But right now, I'm on my website. I was on Amazon. Amazon didn't work out well, but it works better just on my site, and it's easier for the customer as well. So yeah,
And do you still have the barber shop?
no, I just have the trucking business and the shoe business right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is just a really comeback story. As you said, hopefully your story is also in the book, right?
Yes.
Your
Yes.
stories in the book.
Yeah, this one right here, this is the one that I won a lot of awards for this book.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was bought by the Department of Corrections to put inside of the institutions because
Yeah.
they felt like it was the perfect self-help book to be in there.
And those people who were members of the parole board that gave you that second chance,
Yeah,
you could give them a copy to see, see, it pays
yeah, for
off,
sure. For sure.
that kind of thing. So now
For
you're
sure.
also a motivational speaker because you're saying that you actually go to schools. Who is seeking you out? How do you put yourself out there to be hired to talk to, different
Um,
schools?
I've been actually doing this since I've been home. So I did it while I was in. So it was an easy transition once again
Yeah.
to get started in it. I put myself out there for the youth. Definitely for people coming out of prison. I got to speak Monday to a group of guys that just got released. So Monday at 2:30, when I'll get in at the truck at 6 o'clock. By 2:30, I'll be down there talking to the guys, trying to let them know that they can make it. It's gonna take some work,
Mm-hmm.
but lace them up. Get you
And
some.
you have a book to go with it because you're not just saying it, but here are the
That's
guys
right.
that you can
That's
remember.
right.
This is
And believe this, most people that come home, they read my book while they was in prison.
good, very good.
Yeah.
Your story is truly inspirational. And as I said, when I reach out, is to demonstrate. We're not here to really convince people, but to demonstrate that the mindset, one's
Mhm.
mindset, whether or not it's you as a person who is a perpetrator of a crime, but also the people that are helping you or should be helping you, that if
Mhm.
you believe, you can believe in the greatest of the person, right?
That's
In
right.
you can see the strength in any individual, no matter where their starting point is.
100%. Yes, ma'am.
We've talked about so much, so we're winding down here. And is there a question that, we've covered so many areas? Is there something that I did not ask you that you said maybe she should have asked me this?
No, you pretty much got everything about me. That's about it. That's it. That's Ed Hennings right there.
Good. And so I know you talk about family and you were in contact with them while you were, and they've become all grown men now. Is church or is it church within your mind where you still pray, still keep that
Yeah.
contract with God?
Yes, it's very much a spiritual thing for
Okay.
me.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much as a religious thing, but
Mm-hmm.
very spiritual and very understanding that when I had no one, it was just me and God. It was
Yeah.
just me and a higher power. When
Yes.
no one else, I was there for a reason. It was just me and a higher power. So therefore, I haven't deviated from what he put me in and what he showed me. I
Mm-hmm.
stuck to the script. I
Yeah.
walked out of there, and when I walked out, I said, "It's me and you. Let's do it."
And he's been guiding you ever since.
That's right.
Ed Ennings, thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you for such an inspirational story and for willing to share your journey. This is
Thank
just something that I'll take on and I will keep in touch because, other people need to hear this. Other people need to be able to expand on it. And I can only wish you all the, more having your own store, put it that way,
you.
where
Yeah,
your
it's coming.
shoes and everything is it's a combination of all the talents that you have. All right.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you and take care. Bye-bye.
You too.